So one of the first things that to keep in mind when you send a mailer, the first objective you have is you need to get them to open the piece of mail, right? So how do we get them to actually open it so that they can read it? Because not everybody opens mail. I can admit to this. When I get an envelope that looks like junk mail, I don't even waste my time opening it. I rip it up and throw it out. So how can we eliminate that? We need them to open it. One of the things that I do is I will handwrite the outside of the envelope. Obviously, this takes a little bit of time, but I've found that to work pretty well. There are actually resources and sites that you can use where people will do this for you. They'll handwrite all the outside of the envelopes. Now you can also use websites such as Postalo City, I believe it's called. You can send out thousands of mailers within 30 seconds. It's really quick and easy. But the envelopes that they send out look a little bit more business professional. So that's just something to keep in mind. The other thing, if you write the outside of the envelope, when the owner gets it, it looks like a rent check, right? And so they're more likely to open it. It has more of that personal touch to it. So that's one of the strategies that I use. You also want to keep your mailer short. You don't want it to be a full page or longer. They will throw it out. So let's be honest, nobody likes to read mail. We're all very cautious of our time. We value our time. So nobody wants to sit there and read a full page letter and figure out what is this even, right? And if somebody opens up a piece of mail that's a page or longer, it automatically creates tension because first of all, number one, they don't want to be reading it. And number two, because there's tension there, they're going to be looking for any excuse they can to just toss it out. So they're going to skim through it real quick, most likely toss it out. So if you can keep your mailer about a quarter of a page to a half a page, a couple things happen. First thing is it removes that tension, so they're more likely to read it. Number two, because it's short, it looks different. And because it looks different, it creates curiosity. And curiosity is a really good way for people to take action. It's a really great marketing strategy. So if you can keep it short, it's going to remove that tension. They're more likely to read it. And psychologically, they're thinking, well, this is only going to take 5-7 seconds to read. So they're more likely to do it because they know they don't have to invest a lot of time into it. So keeping it short is really helpful. I found that works well. And then keep in mind, last impressions are lasting impressions. Chris Voss talks about this where he says, people don't necessarily remember the beginning of your conversations. They remember how they end. So save anything positive for the end of your letter or your conversation. So save it for the end because the last impressions are lasting. And you can even do something as simple as putting a little photo of you or your spouse or your family, just to show them, hey, you're just a regular guy or a regular girl, just looking to purchase a storage facility. It looks nice. It's welcoming. It kind of removes that whole tension factor. And it also removes that thought behind, hey, is this like a big company or an agency that's sending me this letter? If they see, hey, it's just a regular person or a family, they're more likely to call you because you're more on their level, right? And then the other thing is the familiar is trusted. So if you're local, let them know that you're local. Okay, that's really, really important. And it also opens the door for you to have a more open conversation and start building rapport. If you start talking about areas in your location that you're both familiar with, or maybe even some common people that you know, you're just strengthening your connection, right? So if you're local, let them know you're local. The familiar is trusted.